I've created an AI automation that can take any voice note that you record on your phone and turn it into 37 pieces or more of content. So what this means is I can literally just brain dump into my phone as a voice note and instantly have 37 unique pieces of content that are ready to be published. This can absolutely change your life as a business owner. Check this out. All right, step one, open up your phone, open up your voice memos or your voice notes app, and you start brain dumping into it. All your ideas, all your content ideas, whatever's going on in your mind, get it out as a voice note. Once you're done, click on the three little dots here, click share. We're gonna use the Slack app. We're gonna share this voice recording to a specific Slack channel that we've set up. For me, it's called voice notes. I'm gonna choose voice notes and I'm gonna send my brain dump of voice notes to Slack. And that is going to trigger off an entire AI automation that's going to create 37 unique different pieces of content from this one voice recording. I'm going to show you how to do that right now. If you don't know who I am, my name is Rick Mulready. I founded and later sold last year in 2023 the podcast called The Art of Online Business Podcast, formerly known as The Art of Paid Traffic. And I have run a multi-seven-figure online business for the past several years. And I now teach online business owners how to leverage AI to work less and profit more. So now we're looking at this automation in make.com. This is the automation that has been kicked off by the voice memo that you created being sent into a specific Slack channel. Okay. So I understand automation looks or can look a little bit daunting here. If you don't want to build this automation as I go through this video, I have all of the make.com automation blueprints for you inside my school community called the AI Playbook Premium, which I will link to in the description below. All you have to do is come into your Make account, import the blueprint, and it comes right into your Make account. I also have tons of online business workflows that are done for you start to finish, including all the prompts written that you need that you can simply copy and paste into your business. I have a suite of AI assistants waiting for you inside the community and just an amazing community of online business owners. Again, it's called the AI Playbook Premium. I'll link to it in the description below. So here's the automation, and it kind of looks like a tree here, right? But it's laying on its side. So as I noted, it gets kicked off in Slack. So the Slack module I'm using here is watch private channel messages. So I'm not going to see this right now because it is a trigger point, but I would just go into Slack, choose that Slack module, and you would see watch private channel messages right inside your list here. And that's what you want to select. Now, the next step in this is I have a filter set up. So coming into the Slack module, my input method is I'm selecting from a list, and that list is the channels that I want to choose from. So I've created a private channel in my Slack account called Voice Notes. It's a private channel that only I have access to, and this is where I send the recordings to. So that's why I've chosen the private channel called Voice Notes in this example here. So the next step in the automation is I want to create a filter that looks for the download URL of the audio file that I have just put into that channel. So I've already set the filter up. If you want to do that yourself, just go into the little wrench here and then just do set up a filter. And so you can see here, it's exactly what I've done here. The condition is the URL private download. So if I click in here, you're choosing from this list here, and you would go down to files and you'll see the URL private download right here. And the basic operator is exists. So as long as that file exists, it's going to keep moving to the next step here in the automation, which again is Slack. And this time it's download a file. So I'm going to open up the Slack module here. And again, if I were creating this from scratch, I would go to add module, click on Slack, and you want to look for download a file, which is right here. Since I've already done that, I don't need to do that again. So I'm just going to show you within this module here. And so the URL private download is the exact same entry that we just talked about within the filter. So we're just going to put that right in here again. Again, going down to files, choose URL private download. The next module in our automation is we want to transcribe our voice memo that we've just sent to Slack. So what we're going to do is we're going to use Whisper AI, which is within OpenAI. So we want to add the OpenAI module to our automation here. And if I were selecting this again, I want to go to add a module. I want to go to OpenAI. And I want to go down here to where it says create a transcription. And I'm going to choose that. So again, I've already done that. So I'm going to go in here, create a transcription. And the file is the Slack download a file option. The model is Whisper 1. And then this is simply the prompt that I'm giving it. It's a super simple prompt. Your helpful assistant, please carefully transcribe the file name. So again, if I click in here, it's from the previous step in this automation. I'm simply clicking the file name, which is our audio recording. And I'm just saying, hey, transcribe it to the best of your ability. Response format is JSON, so I'm going to click OK. And that is it in terms of how we are now taking our original voice memo. Now we're creating a transcript out of it. And from that transcript is where we can create all kinds of different content. In my example here, we're creating 37 pieces of content from that one transcript. Obviously, your voice memo is going to be however long you want it to. My voice memo was 20 minutes, and I'm creating easily 37 pieces of content from that 20-minute brain dump. So after I've created the transcript, now I want to use a router here in Make to shoot off all the branches of my tree. All the branches are going to where the different pieces of content are being created. So I'll go into each one of these, but for example, this one here is writing a podcast episode outline. This one up here is writing a YouTube script. This one here is writing Instagram posts. This one here is writing tweets. This one here is writing LinkedIn posts, Facebook posts, TikTok video scripts. This one is summarizing the voice memo. So if I were creating another router here from scratch, I would go in here, right click, do add a module, and then router is up here in the right-hand corner. So I would just choose that. And that is what's going to allow you to branch off into these different branches, if you will, of our content system. So let's check out the first prompt. So I'm using Anthropic's Claude. And the reason I'm choosing Claude in this automation is because I recorded a lot of videos on the channel here talking about how great a content writer Claude is. I think it's way better than ChatGPT 4.0. So that's why I'm using Claude in this automation. By the way, in order to use Claude in your Make.com automation here, you will need to have an Anthropic API key. So you want to go over to the Anthropic console. I believe the URL is console.anthropic.com, and you want to set up your API key there. This whole automation here will literally cost you fractions of a penny each time you run this. That's how cheap it is to do this. So think about that. This entire automation that's creating 37 pieces of content for a penny or a few pennies, literally, think about how much that would cost you to have somebody on your team doing this for you every single month. I mean, you're saving thousands of dollars over a year's time period with having this sort of automation. And again, you can get all these automation blueprints inside my AI Playbook Premium community inside of School. All right, so going back into Claude here. So as I set up my Claude module here, the first thing I want to do is choose which model I want to use. I like to use 3.5 Sonnet. At the time recording this video in August of 2024, it is the most recent and the best model that Claude has. I like to put in 1,500 tokens for this, just as a maximum number. If I put in too small a number, it's just going to cut off. So I don't want to do that. The role I'm going to choose is user. The type of content that I want to use is text. And the text is simply the prompt that you are including in this automation to create the specific piece of content that you're doing. So in this case here, this is for the podcast episode. So I've written a full-on prompt here to write the podcast script outline. So now that Claude has written the content, now I want the content to go somewhere. And this is where you don't need a router in your automation here. I have it in here simply because I want the Claude output to go to two different places. I want it to create a new record in a specific Airtable table that I have. And the other thing I wanted to do is I wanted to go into a Google Doc in a specific folder in my Google Drive. So to accomplish this, again, you set up another router like we just talked about, and then you can set up your Airtable. So if I were setting this up from scratch, I would, add module, go to Airtable, and I want to create a new record. And that's exactly what I've done here. So if I open this up, My base that I've set up in Airtable is called Voice Notes Brain Dump Content. The table is called Voice Notes Brain Dump. I'm recording the date of the original voice message that I've sent to Slack. The transcription, these are all fields, by the way, that I've set up in the Airtable base, which I'll show you here coming up. But I'm choosing the transcription, and that is from the Whisper AI, the OpenAI module in our automation. The content is basically the output from Claude. So I'm choosing text response from the previous module, which is the Claude module. Then in Airtable, I have a column called content channels. So I want to designate what specifically this content is so I can easily look at the Airtable database and know exactly what type of content that is. So I've chosen podcast script for that. And then the other branch to this is I want to send my podcast outline also to Google Docs. And so if I were creating the module, I would add a new module. I would go to Google Docs and I would do create a document. So let me show you what that looks like here. If I would open this up. So you want to give it a name. So in this case here, I just call it podcast outline from Voice Brain Dump. The content, again, is the output from Claude. It's called the text response. Then you want to choose which Google Drive you want it to go to, and then what folder within that drive within Google Drive that you want to go to. So I'm just calling it simply make.com voice notes automation. That's the name of my folder. And that's where I want, in this branch here, I want my podcast outline to go to. So it's going to create a brand new Google Doc in that folder called podcast episode outline brain dump voice notes, or whatever that was. So that is the first branch. And I'm literally now duplicating this for all the different other branches throughout my content tree here, basically. So for the next one, I want a YouTube script written from the transcript. So now that I've created this content branch, if you will, of the automation, all I have to do is clone this and duplicate it throughout the automation to create these different content branches. And I'll go through each one of these, but for example, this branch writes a YouTube script. This one writes the Instagram posts and tweets and so on. The idea here is to customize this however you want. You create whatever pieces of content that are relevant to your business. You might not have a podcast. You might not have a YouTube channel. Maybe you don't post on Instagram. Maybe you're going to start posting on Instagram now because of this automation. But the idea here is just to take the branch that you've just created, duplicate it, and now you're going to use the exact same format to create all these other forms of content. And again, maybe you don't want to send your Claude output for your podcast episode outline to Airtable or Google Docs. Maybe you want it emailed to you. Maybe you want it to email it to somebody on your team. That's fine. In that case there, you would simply add in an email module. You wouldn't even need the router. You could go from Claude directly to an email module where it emails you the output, or again, emails somebody on your team. It's completely customizable to whatever you do and want to do in your business. So now for this branch of the content tree, if you will, we're going to write a YouTube script from the transcription. So again, we're going to follow the exact same format. We're going to choose Claude 3.5 Sonnet 1500 tokens, use the user role text. And then again, this is the prompt that I've written that tells Claude that I want it to write a YouTube script following specific criteria. And again, it's creating the YouTube script based on the transcription. So that is the text, which is why I've put that right here in the prompt. Same exact thing now. I have it being sent to Google Docs and Airtable. Then over here, the next content branch here is I want it to write Instagram posts. Same everything. Claude 3.5 Sonnet, 1500 tokens. And again, if you want to write more Instagram posts, maybe if you want to write 10 Instagram posts, maybe you bump that token limit up a little bit, or maybe you want to bump it down a little bit. It's completely up to you. I like to use 1500 for these types of tasks. So now down here in the text section, again, this is the prompt that I have written to tell Claude that I want to write 5 engaging Instagram posts based on the provided content. The content being, again, the transcription of our original voice memos. You may want to, depending on how long your voice memo brain dump is, maybe you want it to write 15 Instagram post, or maybe you just wanted to write 2 Instagram posts or 1 Instagram post. That's the beauty of this. You can just come in here and customize it to however many pieces of content that you want to create. So again, same exact thing. My Instagram posts that are written by Claude are then kicked over into Airtable, also into creating a brand new Google Doc with all of my Instagram posts. The next one here is now I want to take the transcript and write a bunch of tweets to post on Twitter. So again, you're a world-renowned social media expert tasked with creating engaging tweets for X, formerly known as Twitter, blah, blah, blah. So I've written the prompt here to write the tweets, again, based on the transcript here. Goes through, I'm giving it constraints and specific steps to follow to create these tweets. Again, once it has written the tweets, it goes through the router, kicks off into Google Docs, and then also into Airtable. The next branch here is I wanted to write LinkedIn posts. Same exact thing. So you notice a trend here. All I'm doing is, that's how easy this is. All I'm doing is duplicating each branch of my content tree here, if you will. And I'm changing what Claude is doing in each one of these branches to create the unique piece of content. So in this one here, I'm having it write 5 unique and different LinkedIn posts from my transcript. And that's what this whole prompt here is telling it to do. Then once that is done, it goes off into the Google Doc, goes off into Airtable, and we move on to the next piece of content branch here. Same exact thing, right? Facebook posts, kick those into Google Docs, kick it into Airtable. The prompt that I've written is telling it to write 5 unique and engaging Facebook posts from the transcript. The transcript, again, being the text from the OpenAI module for Whisper AI, using it to transcribe the voice message. Next down here, I wanted to create TikTok posts here. So again, exactly the same thing. Claude 3.5 Sonnet, max tokens. Then I wrote a prompt telling it to write 5 well-structured, engaging 30-second scripts for TikTok videos. Written the prompt here. Again, it will output into a brand new Google Doc and then also into my Airtable base. And the last content branch here, and this is unique to me, is I just have it create a summary of my voice memo. So the prompt is a little bit different. It's actually a lot simpler. But again, the model's the same, max tokens. The prompt in this case here, I'm just telling it you're a world-class assistant. So I'm telling it what it specializes in. And I'm very specific in telling it what I want it to do. I want you to read the text and turn it into a structured, easy to read and ready to share summary. And I'm also telling it I want it formatted in such a way that makes it easy to consume, like bullet points and formatting best practices. So the same thing is going to happen with that summary. It's going to go over into a Google Doc and then into Airtable. So there's the AI automation that looks like a content tree here, if you will, with all the different branches creating different forms of content, all from that one piece of content, that voice memo that you created for yourself and then sent off to Slack, which triggered this entire automation. The cool thing is too, is you've got a lot of flexibility. You can add in, maybe you want to write a blog post from your voice memo. Maybe you want to write an email from your voice memo. Well, you would just follow the exact same format I've just showed you, and you've got more pieces of content coming through that one voice message that you have brain dumped for yourself. All right, so now that I've taken you through this entire automation, let's see this in action. All right, so I'm gonna open up my voice memos. I'm just gonna follow the exact same steps I showed you at the beginning of this video and share that voice message into Slack. Go send it to the specific channel, voice notes. And so I've now just added it to that Slack channel. And now I'm going to run this and it's gonna kick off this entire automation. It takes like 2 minutes to do and we'll let it work its magic. All right, so the automation has just completed running. It took exactly 4 minutes. In 4 minutes, we've created 37 pieces of content. Let me show you what the content is that it created. So let's go over it. Let's first look at Google Docs, and I like to refresh the folder. So you can see here, these are all the pieces of content that we just created: podcast outline, YouTube script, Instagram post, tweets, LinkedIn posts, etc. So if I want to look at this, this is the entire podcast outline that it created from my 20-minute voice note brain dump. So there is the podcast outline. Now I have the YouTube script, the Instagram post. So I can click on Instagram posts and open up the Instagram posts here. And here are the 5 different Instagram posts that it has written for me. It separated them with a little line in between. And now somebody on your team or yourself can review these posts and then use them and post them right on Instagram. So it's gone through the exact same format here for each one of these TikTok scripts. So it's written me 5 different TikTok scripts with different hooks for each video. So you can see here for script number 2, it goes from hook, content, and conclusion. That's because I told it that is the format that I wanted it to use when writing these TikTok scripts. Same thing for LinkedIn posts. So if I click on here, it goes post 1, post 2. And remember, if there's any output that you're not happy with, the idea now is just to go into the Claude module, whichever piece of content that you're not happy with. And let's just say that I'm not happy with the podcast outline output that it's giving me. So you just get to go in here into the text field here and adapt the prompt. So make revisions to the prompt to get the kind of output that you are looking for, and then just rerun the automation. And you want to do that throughout all of these content branches. If there are any pieces of content that you're not happy with, then just go back into the automation and adapt the prompt accordingly. So again, here are all the 37 pieces of content that I've created. Here are the Twitter posts. There's 10 of them here. Here are the Facebook posts. Again, there's 5 unique ones. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. So you can come in here and review them. And remember, in addition to Google Docs, I also had these posts sent into my Airtable base. So this is the simple Airtable base that I have set up. Again, remember, voice notes, brain dump to content. So here's the transcript. It's going to be the exact same thing from the voice message. So it's going to be the same for each piece of content, but then the different pieces of content here, as you can see here, are organized by the different content channel that we designated. So again, for the YouTube video script, if I want to see it right here inside the Airtable database, here it is. Here's the entire YouTube video script that got created from the voice message transcription. So now you have a super organized database of 37 pieces of content that you've just created out of a voice message that you created while you're out on a walk, or you're working out, or you're just getting out of the shower, or whatever it is. You've taken that voice message and created multiple forms of content just from that voice message. And all you had to do was record it in your phone, send it to a specific Slack channel, and it kicked off this entire automation. Again, if you want all of my Make.com AI automation blueprints, as well as my online business workflows, a suite of AI assistants, if you want live calls with me every single week in an amazing community of fellow online business owners, join us inside my school community called the AI Playbook Premium. Again, link is in the description below. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you want to see more videos like this, please also let me know in the comments below, along with any questions that you might have. We'll see you in the next video.